All right, so I am very excited to welcome this evening's guest. This is Alan Claude. He is a graphic artist who currently resides in Farmingdale, Maine. And he has a fan base that extends far, far beyond Maine. A lot of folks know him for his beautiful lighthouse artwork, and recently we have seen him broaden his horizons and do landscapes and beautiful scenes that, as I think I've used in some of my descriptive promotional work, they evoke a quintessential New England summer. And every time I look at his artwork, I smile, and I've heard many, many other people mention that as well. And one of the wonderful things that's making the Camden Public Library smile is that Alan has been incredibly generous this month. During the month of June, Alan Claude has been donating 20% of all of the sales from his website, alanclaude.com, to the Camden Public Library when people type in the promo code Camden Library when making a purchase. So thank you, Alan, so much for doing that. It looks like we've got a few more people popping on. So now that we have a small audience here, I'll let them know how we're gonna do this. We are going to have a presentation by Alan Claude, and it will be followed by a question and answer session. For those of you who may not have used Zoom in the past, all you have to do to open up the chat box is hover your mouse on the bottom of your toolbar. For those of you using like a laptop or a desktop computer, your toolbar should be at the bottom of the screen. Click on chat. That's going to open up a section where you can chat questions to me and Alan, and I'll make sure he gets them. And we will be answering those questions at the end of the program. So without further ado, I would like to introduce the wonderful, the talented, my friend, Alan Claude.
Oh, that's me. Okay.
Oh, that's you. Yes, here, I'll clap for you. So, Alan, you're welcome to screen share whenever you need to now.
Well, wonderful. Okay. Well, thank you. First of all, thank you. Camden is such a beautiful area, and the library does such a wonderful outreach to the community, and it's probably the most efficient and giving library in the state of Maine, and it's at least one of the top ones, and it's just great to be part of it. So hopefully we could generate some interest and make this happen. We've got how much do we have raised so far?
For the contribution that you have mentioned, it's over $1,000. It was like $1,100 for the library. So that is amazing, and I really hope we can get a little bit more before the end of the month. That's our goal.
Yeah.
So. All right, Alan, tell us a little bit about your story.
Sure. So now, should I share my screen now? Let me see if I could do this. Okay. So I figure I should probably start with my mom and dad, because without them, I probably wouldn't be walking this earth. So I will start with that. My mom and dad, well, my mom is from France, Paris, France, and she met my father was in the Air Force in the 60s. They got married in 1960. And in a little town in France next to Orleans, actually. Not New Orleans, but Orleans. And so they moved. I was born in Virginia. My brother and I, he was born in France, actually. My brother was. He was older than I am. And we traveled a lot. While my father was in the Air Force, he did a lot of, I think he went to different countries and Iceland and Thailand. And during that time, my mom wanted to go back to France. And so we spent a lot of time at the beach in France. That's my mom right there. And my brother. I'm the little guy. And then, but then they got a divorce in the 70s, 71, I think it was. And I went to school in France, and I forgot, even though I was American, I forgot how to speak English. So this is one of my old study books. And at the end of a lesson, you would have a drawing. They would teach us how you can make a drawing, or if we had time, we could make a drawing. So I did a lot of drawings, and I really enjoyed my felt pens and markers. And it brought joy to me too. So, and we went back to America. We lived in Alaska for a year and stuff. But then, actually, that was before she got divorced. Anyway, this town in France is called Biarritz. It's a beautiful town. It's right on it's like a resort town. There's always a lighthouse out there. It's called the Biarritz Lighthouse. And in the summertime, it's just a wonderful place to enjoy the sun. And while my mom worked in a hotel cleaning rooms and stuff, we would play at the beach. Now, we lived in a small room here. I mean, we went back years later to look at that where I lived. It was a one room. There was no refrigerator, no bathroom. We had to share the bathroom. And, but, you know, we had love, my brother and I and my mom, and we could walk like 2 miles to the beach. So while she worked. And when I did my drawings, it brought a lot of joy to my mom. It made her feel good, made her laugh. And so that was just a kind of an imprint on me to create art to make people feel good. And so that's probably the main reason why I'm still drawing today and doing it as much as I'm doing. The town was just a small little classic French town on the coast of France, Bay of Biscay, like near the border of Spain. And then when I got older, I lived in Guam for a year. That's in the Pacific, because I went to go visit my dad when I was still about 10 years old. I lived in France for like 6 years with my mom, and then I moved to Guam. And then she came back from France to Guam. She came to visit, and then we moved to San Francisco. And I grew up in San Francisco for 23 years. And that was actually my apartment right there under the Golden Lion Chinese restaurant. The food wasn't very good, but it was a great studio apartment. And I enjoyed the city so much. I had a friend of mine, and we created a store called News Time. It was a newspaper store, card shop. It turned into a card shop. I made all the logo and the Beemans, you know, I painted that on the walls. It was trying to give it kind of a retro look. I was in an Italian district in San Francisco, right close to the financial district. I had a great time. I did it for 5 years. My art education, so after high school, I didn't go to college. I did do a little 3 months of art classes at San Francisco State, but I went to Hawaii for a year and came back, and then we started this business together. But we had no cards, and a lot of cards were from Europe. And a lot of cards also was, as you can see in the back, there's some hopper. So, you know, I worked for 5 years in this little store almost every day. And that was my art education. It was a visual education. So I would see all these from Michelangelo to Edward Hopper to Duano photographers, black and white photographers. So I loved the art, and I love that period. And Hopper was I was really attracted by his work. So I would say Edward Hopper was my favorite painter, is my favorite painter. Actually, you know, this picture right here is called Chop Suey. I think they sold it for $50 million or something, maybe 90, I don't know. But that is the Empire Cafe in Portland, Maine. It's the Chinese restaurant there on Congress. So I was really surprised to see that. Well, I thought this was in New York City, but it's actually taken in Portland, Maine. My other influences is John Matos, which is to the left here. He did a poster called The Rocketeer, and he'd come into my store and we'd chit chat. And I went to his studio, and you know, this is a professional illustrator, and I just thought it was amazing. His work. He worked with Francis Ford Coppola a lot. The other influence, Marin Headlands here. That's Michael Schwab is a graphic artist, and I loved his stuff. He was the first really person to bring back and to popularity the style, this retro style from the 20s and 30s. I never met him, but I've heard good things about him. I just love his work. And the next one over here, this is from the 1930s. His name is Cassandre. He's a French graphic artist. And that was a huge influence. I love that too. We had cards like that in the stores. So I was doing this for 5 years. I was in the store selling artwork. And I had a falling out with my business partner. And I met this person named Paul Lamb, and he was doing a lot of flyers for parties and raves and nightclubs. And so I kind of tagged along and helped build the business with them. And I made my own version of, basically making a living doing designing for graphics, for 3D graphics. This one actually won an award from 3D Magazine, just crazy computer graphics. It was a lot of fun. I still thought about those old posters a lot. I was doing completely something super modern and thinking about the retro imagery that I like so much. An opportunity came around. A restaurant was opening up, the new restaurant was opening up right on the beach called Beach Chalet. And I had to I got the project for 6 beer logos. And there's 3 right here. And I just love that style. So I was taking from the look from the 30s and 40s and creating beer logos out of it. So that was my first real professional illustration project that was something, I was proud of. And actually, I met my future wife, Erin, there at the brewery. She saw the art. And at the time, California Kind wasn't actually made. I turned her into a beer logo. So Erin and I, we started our own business, Aces Designs. And we were right down the block from where I live in San Francisco. That's our storefront we had. And we did a lot of corporate identities. It was, it's a good time, San Francisco, doing computer work, growing our business. We did the Department of the Environment logo, San Francisco logo, and a Park Chalet restaurant, several other things too as well. We were kind of thinking about having children, and we decided to move to Maine. So when we moved to Maine, we got married at a lighthouse, Marshall Point Lighthouse. It was just kind of an eloping kind of thing. We didn't want to make a big deal about the wedding. So we got married at Marshall Point at sunrise. And for our honeymoon, we went to France. And it got me thinking about how nice those lighthouses were and thinking about all the posters. And so it gave me the idea to look to create some posters. And I had an opportunity, Erin and I did, to meet Robert Indiana after we got back. It might have been before we got married, actually. I think this was in August and we got married in September. So we met Robert Indiana, and he is a very famous artist. And I don't know if I have my love print here, but he did the love logo artwork. I guess I must have lost the image there. But anyways, he did, I guess I don't have the picture there. But so that was a huge influence. I met a real, pop artist, and it made me come up with my own, trying to look for my own voice. So after 2.5 years, I was working on this idea I made the first 6 lighthouse images: Portland Headlight, Pemaquid, Rockland, and then I added West Quade, Cape Connecticut, and Bass Harbor. And that was the beginning of the whole Maine Lighthouse series. So it's been a great journey to create beautiful art of Maine. And it took off, and it's just a good excuse to go and travel all over the state of Maine and of New England. And now I've been doing traveling different shows. This is the Big E in West Springfield, Massachusetts, and I get to meet a lot of people, get a lot of ideas, and have fun, really, and hopefully make somebody feel good when they see my art, just like I did with my mother when I was just a little toddler. So I love life's about memories and creating memories, and these are reminders or draws to go and create your own memories in these beautiful locations we have in Maine. So.
Thank you for giving us that that history. That was really, really very insightful. It's clear to see now, where the origins of your inspiration came from. Would you be so kind as to bring up some images so that we could look at some of the newer art you're doing? So yeah. It looks like you really started out kind of sticking with that travel poster style with the graphic image of the lighthouse and the words underneath. But I'm familiar with your work, and I know it's evolved since then. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Well, I just finished doing my calendar for 2021, and in it I have 3 chickens, and believe it or not, it's super popular. So who knew chickens would be popular? But yes, let me share with some these images here. Yeah, this is a new one. It's just kids jumping. My kids, I have 3 children, and we have 3 children. That's called Go Jump in a Lake. I just love the bold, energetic, dramatic composition on here. And I'll show you another one here, Portsmouth. This is called Portsmouth Lobster Boat. And a lot of these colonial homes, they're, over 200 years old. And, putting the Red Lobster boat there. It's been a very popular image all around, really. I mean, people love Portsmouth. It's such a great area.
Alan, can you, while you're showing us these, can you tell us a little bit about how you put together your compositions and ideas for the pictures?
Absolutely. Well, this one, for example, I was doing the Portsmouth street show. It's called the Marketplace Street Show in June, and it's a wonderful art show. And I was going to the lighthouse, and the lighting was just not right. So on my way back, I didn't expect this, but I saw this scene, so I pulled over, took some pictures, and how I do this is I take pictures of what I see, and then sometimes I have to move things as if I could float in the air. So that's how my pictures I'm not a very good photographer. So my pictures just help me get to the place I want to get and remember all the details, like the shadows and houses and stuff. I'm not a plein air painter yet, anyways. Maybe one day on my laptop I could do that, but I draw it digitally. See, so once I get my pictures, I start putting it on my computer, and then this gives me a reference point to start drawing. And when you draw on the computer, it's called Illustrator. I'll show you this. You could do a lot with it because, for example, this is a group of. I drew this, right? And with these pens, they're really neat because you could start to draw whatever you want, and once you, let's see here. Once you draw something, you could change the colors, you could change the shape instantly. Now, if you had a marker on a piece of paper, you would have a hard time, shaping this around. It just gives you a lot more freedom to work with. once you understand the tools, you could do so much more. So, you know, when I first put this together, maybe the boat was bigger. It's a different storyline when you have the ability to move shapes around as at will, you know. It gives you a different, it's all in the composition, and in the composition, like drama would create a lot of negative space, for example, or, you know, you can emphasize one object more than the other, or balance it out. So there's some hierarchy where you have the lobsterman is the centerpiece and the lighthouse is in the background. It's all these, you just have so much more freedom by doing it digitally. You just have to get comfortable with it. And like I said before to a friend of mine, you know, computers, digital, doing this type of work, it's like a paintbrush, you know, 1,000 years ago. People didn't have paintbrushes at first. Somebody used their fingers, and then somebody used a rock and says, hey, listen, I come here with this idea. It's a new technology. It's a stick with hair on it, horsehair, and I'm able to control my strokes better. So in this way, this is the same thing in a way. It's technology that allows you to have more freedom to create art. And it's just a wonderful tool.
So do you use any other tools? Like I've noticed as I was looking through some of your newer images that you've been creating, that the perspectives are up high in the sky. Are you using drones to get some?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, there's one shot of in Camden. Let's see if I can find it off quickly here. I actually don't have it here. No, this for example, this is Sebago Lake. This was no drone. I just looked at some satellite imagery and tried to figure out what would, you know,
okay,
how it possibly look like. But there was one of the Camden boats, schooners. Oh, right here, actually, there it is. Yeah, so that was a drone. So that gives me I just know, you know, I couldn't figure that out myself from above, from bird's eye view. So that's another use of technology, that you could still have classic and organic shapes, even though you use technology to create, or at least to get you started. So it's not, the images aren't like photographs that I pressed on the filter and created all this art. They're hand drawn. I have a pen that basically I draw on the screen just like an iPad, and you just take your time, just like I showed you before with the circle, and then you could erase it if you want. It's just a different way of drawing and creating.
I've always really appreciated your different perspectives in the pictures. I remember being around you during a show that you were at, and I think someone was giving you a little bit of a hard time, maybe because they were saying that there's no hills behind the Rockland Breakwater Lighthouse, yeah. And you were trying to explain to them, I think, that you were out on the water or something like that at the time, and if you looked at it from the water. So was that how you got a lot of the earlier images that you worked with? Were you going out in boats? And
yeah, that's right. Yeah, it was yeah, it's basically I chartered a little boat and we went off, and I had a tiny little camera, no big zoom lens. It's just, again, it was just to create my basis, like, okay, how realistic is this? And the further we went, as for Rockland, we got close to the lighthouse, but as further we went back, the hills started to rise. And that's what I like. I like the drama, the hillside. So there's the perspective of depth, you know. So that's the key. It's all in the composition. Yeah.
Go ahead.
For example, so this is on my calendar too. This is called Sunset in Camden, Sunset Schooners at Camden Harbor. So I like this, but if you want it as a print, you could have it as a print too, but I thought blue would be good too. So just like, I just had to change a few things in order to create this composition, you know, and it's a different feel. Now, orange might be perfect for some room, but, you know, within a few hours, within an hour or so, maybe I could even change that to to an orange to get the right tone. Sometimes I fuss over the little bit of sky, the little bit of yellow or magenta in the sky, or I could spend hours, days, weeks on it too. So it's not easy being, finicky with things.
And do you get a lot of feedback when you're out at art shows from people? What sort of things do you hear from them when they see your artwork?
It's mostly very positive, and a lot of suggestions, like for example, I didn't hear about Spruce Head Island. Spruce Head Island, yeah. That's near
Alton.
Yeah, and it's a lovely lobster pound. Now, and I actually went in November, and it was just it wasn't a cold day, but it was just a bright, kind of stark day. And again, I was taking pictures, and when I do my calendar, I have to change feelings and colors, composition every month. So I want it to be different. So in this case, it's like, well, because it's digital, I could say, well, let me make the water lavender and the sky pink and see how that would come out, and it's amazing how much feeling you get just from slight variances in color. And it's a little slider that I have to do. I'll show you the little slider.
So that's really neat that you discovered this place to go visit. You were inspired by something somebody told you in an interaction at one of the art shows.
Yeah, exactly. So when I first, I had a card shop store, and then I was doing traditional drawings and paintings. And then when I did all the digital artwork, and got married at Lighthouse and wanted to do this Lighthouse series, I had the option of going traditional or going digital. And I said to myself, well, I know how to do this computer-wise. What if my challenge was to create it in an organic kind of way? And that's why it took 2.5 years to create that organic look. So I just wanted to throw that in because I was doing traditional artwork, and then I realized, well, maybe I can make this look more traditional in a digital way. So yeah, this is a slider that changes the color. So if you want to change the color of the sky, or let's say you want to change this to, you can make it more of an orange or yellow, or these little variances. Now you can add just a tiny bit of color to make a whole different feel to it, and that's what's wonderful. That's the great advantage, I think. And of course you can make it any size you want without losing a resolution. If you painted something this big, well, you're gonna have a hard time making it really big, printing it out and having as a piece. These are just some of the things I consider when I do art. So,
Alan, we had a question come in from Robin, who wanted to know if you could recommend a good, inexpensive graphics program. This is for iPad, but maybe something that Mac provides.
Yeah. Well, I don't know, but I use Adobe Illustrator, and that is a standard. It's like there's a lot of free programs out there. Just look for vector-based art, vector with a VECTOR. And you could work with it, but sometimes it's more trouble than it's worth to go on the cheap end, because then you get frustrated and you give up. He says, I can't do this. And, and it's not much. I think it's like $10 a month or $20. If you're a student, it's $10 a month or $30 a month, for your art career. It's better than going to art school, I guess. I mean, I think these days it's quite a lot of money to even take classes,
So did you have any additional art you wanted to show us before we start talking about what the future holds?
Yeah, this one right here is I Am an Island. And these are, I think I reflect the feeling of this place that's in my art. 5 Island Lobster Pound. That's just a beautiful area in Maine. There's 5 little islands. There's Lobster Pound right there. And it's just a wonderful place to go in the summer. It's near south of Bath, so I highly recommend going down there. It's just really beautiful.
Also, Alan can usually recommend good restaurants near any
Yeah,
of the spots that, that feature his artwork.
I think I'm guided more by food than anything else, but you know, this is called Moonlight over Port Clyde. And how I came with this idea, we were just trolling on a boat going to Marshall Point General Store and Port Clyde General Store. And there was all these lobster boats all just parked there. And it was, it was probably like 6 o'clock in the evening, but there's certainly not moonlight time. But when I do my calendar, I'm always thinking different feelings. I'm like, well, what if we had a blue overtone, and it just allowed me to create a different mood, And I put my daughter's name here instead of, I think it was Tanya too, the name of it before. So I just wanted to, personalize a little bit more. There's the Maine lobster one. That's always a fun one. This is a new version of it because I say Maine lobster, ain't nothing better. These swimmers, this is Sebago Lake. I was on a lake. We were on a pontoon boat, and I was just randomly shooting my camera, and I just saw all these young ladies dressed in the same bathing suits, and I thought this would be kind of a cool classic kind of. This was a new venture because I was doing a lot of lighthouse. This is back in I guess it's been 20. I forgot what year it was, 2014, I guess. And that was a bold step because I wasn't sure if I should include that in my calendar because it wasn't lighthouses. So, I've grown, I try to push the envelope and stuff. It's not that avant-garde, but in my case it was.
Well, it was pretty exciting to see when you started branching outside of Maine. I think your next collection after the Maine lighthouses was the Cape Cod lighthouses, correct?
Oh, yes.
Yeah. And then you also have some from additional New England states, and then the Statue of Liberty even.
Yes. Rhode Island there. This is Beavertail. When I do the Big E, it's 3 states mostly: Connecticut, Rhode Island, and Massachusetts. And they give me their suggestions, and it's wonderful. People just want to share their experiences, and they tell me these things. This one's interesting. This is called Tranquility Lobster Boat. And what I love about this is just don't put too much more in it. Just have one point of focus and just calmness. So that's why I call it Tranquility Lobster Boat. And a lot of businessmen and women actually bought this to put them in their office just as a point of just peace and just okay, and I guess, and for me, it's not to get too busy with art, too many things going on, and get distracted with too many details. And over the years, I pulled away a lot of details from my original art that I did before. If you look at the Lighthouse series, I reduced things. This is the point here. It's a lovely lighthouse on the Kennebec River. Wooden lighthouse, octagon. And it's just a really pretty spot to go. This is a new one. It's called Alewives on the Move. It's for the Alewives in Gardiner that come every year. And hopefully in the next few years, we'll have less dams or one less dam maybe, and have more alewives come up to Lake Cobbessy, as they are in Damascata.
And this image is a big departure from some of your other work.
Yeah.
I saw that. I think it's beautiful, but I was very surprised. It has the Alan Claude feel still. So
yeah,
the vein is still there. But yeah, I was really impressed. I love this piece.
Oh, thank you. This was just more people, when I think of Edward Hopper, I think I love this one right here is a good one. I think it's kind of a Hopper-like look to it. It's that, that look of the girl in a cafe that we saw before. Let me see if I could find that image again. Where do we have it here? Yeah, and there's a sense of somberness or right here that I love about Hopper. Just this loneliness, but maybe it's solace too. That's what I was attracted to, and in that way, it has a feel to it like that. This one, it's called Pembroke Hikers. I have overdone Pembroke Lighthouse. Edward Hopper painted a lot of Maine lighthouses, but I like this one a lot because it has the open sky. There's not much going on, and the hikers, they're doing their thing. It's life, and it's life around the lighthouse. That's been a theme of mine that's helped me create more art. Life around the lighthouse. There's no lighthouse here on my new one, here on my chickens, but
Are those chickens your chickens? Because I know you've had
no,
chickens
it's my
before.
daughter's friends' chickens. And it was actually in a winter scene, but I turned it into spring chickens, I call it. So,
Alan, I know that you have another branch or another brand that you do called Be Think Do. And it's also very different from some of the stuff you've shown us here. Can you talk a little bit about Be Think Do?
Sure. I don't have this pulled up here, but let me just get this here. The Be Think Do is more it started actually because my son was only about this is old stuff here, I better change that. Let's see. It started because my son, who was only 5 at the time, I was reading a story to him, and he I said, oh, this person's a man of good character in the book. And he said to me, Dad, what's character? I said, well, character is what makes a person. And I thought about it. Well, how do I talk about character? I could be a good role model. I could try to, show them the right things to do, but you don't see these words every day. And if you read a good book that is about character things, you don't remember everything. So create it as a piece of art. So this piece actually has been a very popular image with counselors and parents and teachers, and it's a wonderful way to remind yourself what you are, what you focus on. And it's been amazing, and the response has been terrific. It's one of my best sellers. It's so simple. I like to create more art of that as well. We're moving into our new space next month, and I'm looking forward to having larger pieces done. You could step on them, for example. You could walk into the art, and now we'll have room. Right now we're in a really tight quarters, but these new buildings are going to be really cool, and hopefully will make people just appreciate art more and experience more art in Gardiner, Maine.
So you live in Farmingdale, and how did you decide on Gardiner? What was it about Gardiner that inspired you?
It's just a lovely little spot. It's near Augusta, the capital, 45 minutes north of Portland. But it's what you like big cities for. You have little neighborhoods. It's like a village. You could go to the grocery store, you could go to the bank, you could go to the brewery, you could go to the barbershop. It's all walking distance. So you're not driving to go somewhere to another place. It's, you're not going to the mall or anything. So Aaron and I, we just wanted to be a part of, I love bricks. I love the urban feel, and we were basically feeling overcrowded with too many things going on. And I just felt a hunch to go and look for a bigger place to have my studio. And it's amazing how all these pieces came together. And we spent a lot of time here. Let me see if I could show you some pictures of it. Right here, past year and a half, we've been really been creating. It's going to be a great little space, and hopefully just do more for the neighborhood and the town. And I just look forward to. I've already met so many great people.
So it's 2 buildings, right? You guys purchased?
It's 2 buildings, yeah. So you see the white front here. I'm actually going to turn it to a mustard color, and this will be my gallery space right here. We have a brewery already opened up, and Bicentennial Cafe is opening up. We got a yoga studio. It's right in right across from the Kennebec River. That's the storefront, and we have a 3rd floor where the work studio. There's 2 apartments overlooking the river. Beautiful apartments. This is the 3rd floor. That's where I'm going to be creating more art. We have some printers and equipment up there. And there's a beautiful historic library. The architecture is terrific, and it's just a great place. It's only about a mile away from my current studio, so it's really no large commute. And this is where my gallery is going to be put together here. It's been a long process, but we had to remove the flooring, all the old beams, bring in some new beams. I mean, just basically hold up the buildings with these giant pillars. And but it just feels right. And I've met, again, so many people. It's been so awesome. And so.
And where can people find, I know that, was it one of the news stations came and did a nice piece on it. Where can people find out watch that video if they're interested in finding it?
It's right on the blog page on my Alan Claude website, and there's been some good stories. I think I like to have to be more involved with Main Street America, and just how we've lost Main Street. It used to be, our grandparents used to have, downtown was, even our parents maybe had downtown, until the malls came around and really just decimated downtowns, But I think there could be a partnership with corporations investing in downtown, because it takes a lot of money to fix up these places, and small businesses, online businesses, invest into downtown, because you could have a great location, have a retail store, but have an online business at the same time in a downtown small Main Street, and just bring some life back to Main Street.
So I'd like to remind folks that if you have any questions for Alan, we're getting to the portion of the program where I'm happy to relay those to him. You can hover your mouse down at the bottom of your screen. You should see a little chat icon, and if you click on the chat icon, it'll bring up the white chat box, and you can go ahead and just type in any questions you might have for Alan. I see that Susanna asked a question regarding the Big E. She said, I wonder if you will be at the Big E this year. If they have the fair, will you go?
That's a good question, actually, because they're limiting the amount of people going in. I think it's only 20%, 10%. It's created, the whole purpose of the Big E is to have lots of people and the energy of lots of people. So, and it takes a long time. It's 17 days. And even if they shorten the hours, it's going to be a lot of investment in time and money to be there. And if a quarter of the people are there, it's not worth it. It's not worth doing. So I'm going to focus on creating a great gallery environment. There's always a silver lining with things, and I just think the opportunity here for me to create a great store, a great just take the year to create something. I have no shows this year, you know.
Right, because you're normally extremely active on the
Oh,
show circuit.
I'm running around, I'm stressed, I don't see my kids, I don't see my wife, and you know, it's wonderful for me to hopefully bring a draw. You know, my art is on the cover of the official guide of Maine, where do I have it here? I don't have it here, but it's over here.
Which we were joking around that no tourists are going to see it. We
yeah,
were
exactly.
joking around before. No tourists are coming, unfortunately.
But, like, oh, but you know, I heard they're postponing the Bicentennial for next year. So
yeah, a lot of planning went into that. And so goodness, I hope that a lot of the events that were planned can happen in 2021.
It's amazing how it is beyond our even place of thinking that, oh yeah, what's going to happen? Somebody told you that last year. Okay, nobody's coming anywhere. You know, restaurants are not going to open. There's no bars. There's nothing. People are going to stay at home. So anyway, we're going to get through this, and all for good reasons, and hopefully we're over precautious with things, and nobody, you know, so.
We had another question come in. This one is from Jessica, and she asks, any words of advice to students who are interested in graphic arts?
Yeah, I think you really, you know, we are spiritual beings having a human experience. So that is to say, just because you don't have an education doesn't make you not an artist, you know. Let's say you can't afford to go to art school, you know, create your own vibe, create your own feeling, and create your own way, you know, because it's not about what other people tell you or those roads that they have built. I don't know. You got to be a free spirit if you're going to be an artist. And so you can't be afraid of no borders, you know. Just, you know, go. It's really a spiritual journey for me, you know, just believing that you could really have anything you want and without hurting anyone. If you could just keep walking, and spending the time to do it, enjoying it, you know, just, and sometimes you have to sacrifice. When I did my first 6 lighthouses, 2.5 years, I remember sunny days and thinking, oh, I could be outside right now by the pool, you know, but I wanted to commit to that. And so you have to do those things. You have to commit they say your 10,000 hours, which is that 10 years or something, something you truly love, you know, whatever it is. And it'll be worth it, because we overestimate what we could accomplish in a year, but underestimate what we could accomplish in 5 years or 10 years, you know. So I
have a related question that came in, and then I'll ask you the question before that in just a minute. Yeah. So Doreen asks, any advice for finding your voice?
I could only say what I found. You know, I just saw different artists, the people that I liked, I learned from, you know. These days you can watch a lot of YouTube videos and go to places and that they have their stuff, or, you know, art shows or galleries, museums. You know, there's people that you like, it resonates with you. So just keep searching and keep learning more, and you'll create your own colors. You know, it's like, I like blue, I like orange, I like green, but I just don't want to do blue. I want to create my own colors. So like I was influenced by all these other people, and I'm still growing, I'm still learning stuff, but realize these are people along the way that takes you to where you want to go, and they're part of the ingredients, and you are your own recipe.
And I think also, just again, having known you, you seem to kind of live by this, you know, do what you like, draw what you like, draw where you want to be. You know, I remember, yeah. I remember thinking that if you had some other career, that you'd probably be a travel guide or a travel show host. That would be like your other thing that you would do.
Well,
So
it's fun, like I love cooking. Well, I love eating more than cooking, but um, there's passion, there's joy in that, like find the joy in things because it's fun that way. If you're not having fun doing something, then don't do it. Try to find the thing that, and find the excitement. As a kid, like, I remember drawing with a marker and just thinking, wow, just how you used to concentrate as a kid when you got into something. You enjoyed those dolls you were making or whatever, or you know I don't know, whatever it is. I was building a lot of airplane models when I was a little kid too, and I just imagine, use your imagination. It's the greatest nation, so.
Okay, we have, I guess, one more question, and then we'll wrap it up. Now, this one is a little more basic, or not basic. What's the word I'm looking for? Practical. This is a practical question. This one says, when someone orders a print, what type of wide format printer do you use?
Well, I have a 44-inch printer. Those are like, $5,000 plus the inks are another $5,000. So what I started before I spent the money on that. We have a printer here in 10 miles away, J.S. McCarthy, the big printers. There's printers pretty much like that. And there's a few of them in the state. You could just pay per copy, or if you go online, and you don't have to buy your own printer just yet. You could just test it out, spend a little, so it may cost you, $30 a print or something, but, you need to see it on paper, in physical. If you're doing something digital, you need to see it and see how it is.
I also wanted to mention that, again, because I know you and I'm familiar with your artwork, that you do offer something that is very unique, and that is the art shield that you put on top of your artworok. And I think that's something, if you want to talk about that for just a minute before we sign off, I think it's really helpful for people to understand. I know that you took that process into your own hands too, fairly, within the last few months.
I think because I had a graphic design background and I was helping clients sell their products or market their products, you have to understand the audience. And for me, you got to put yourself in the shoes of the person who may want to buy your art. And I just didn't like the idea of cutting glass and putting it to size and getting my finger. I knew somebody who did do that. It was a glass cutter, and he lost a finger and he had lots of cuts everywhere. And I said, no, I'll never cut glass. So that's why we created, and it started, I got the idea from a place in Portland, which actually they do this in Canada. They laminate the art. So the art is actually, see this art right here, is actually protected. I could throw water on this, so it'll be fine. What it is, it's put in through a special machine, and it melts on this film. It's called an art shield, and it's waterproof and it's water resistant, UV protected too. So it won't fade as easily. It fades eventually if you put it in the hot sun every day, but protects the art, makes it lightweight, and even if there's light bouncing on it, it won't reflect. It'll just have this ambient color. And art is about enjoying the color, not the reflection that's from your lights. So it's just a great way of seeing art. It's lightweight and it doesn't reflect, and it's
Well, and of course, people can find out more about this on your website, alanclaude.com, and it talks all about that.
Sorry. Yeah, there's a 1-minute video there that just says in 1 minute you could see what we're talking about and stuff.
Yeah.
But people love it. They try it, they see what, no glass, and then they realize. So that was a problem to solve, that it's better than sometimes when you have obstacles and you get through that obstacle, you realize, wow, if I didn't have that, you just learn from problems. Welcome problems, because they'll take you to another level. And this was the glass problem. When you ship glass, it breaks and all of a sudden. In fact, I think UPS doesn't even want to ship glass anymore because it breaks so much. But so this is a great way to showcase large pieces of art or canvas. I'll be doing more canvas art when my new building will have so much more opportunities to create larger prints and stuff. So that's going to be fun too.
Well, I definitely look forward to seeing everything that's to come out of Alan Claude and Alan Claude Studios. And with that, I just want to remind folks that during the remainder of the month of June, not for all the month of June, but we have a week or so left, Alan has been kind enough to donate 20% of all sales from his website, any of the artwork, anything on his website, if you use the promo code Camden Library at checkout. So you have an opportunity to support a local artist and your local library. So please, please help us out. We have a goal that we need to get to our fiscal year operating budget, or our reduce a deficit in our operating budget by June 30th. And Alan's sales have helped us a lot already. And we thank all of you out there who have helped us out as well.
And what I'll do is I have copies now that we have more than enough guides available. I will sign each. If you put Camden Library on there, I'll sign this guide here. So that's included, and a free 5x7 desk calendar for 2020 will be included.
Very cool. Very cool.
With the sale. So,
well,
so yes.
Thank you so much, Alan, for doing this talk with us tonight. I think that I actually learned, I know you pretty well, but I think I've learned even more. And I always love discussing your artwork with you and hearing about your journey to how you found your style, your voice, and all the inspiration that's behind that. To everyone who came with us and experienced this tonight, I am going to be sharing this program on the Camden Public Library Programs YouTube page and also Facebook. So you can please recommend this program, the recording of it, to your friends and family if you think they might be interested. And please check out librarycamden.org for all of the wonderful upcoming programs we'll be having on Zoom. So with that, I am going to say good night, everyone.
Good night. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks, Alan. Bye-bye, everybody.